Hi there, the name's Gus. Today we're going to be going over my project for Game Module 2104, level design and gameplay events. This video will consist of two sections. One of them will be an uninterrupted gameplay preview of both the exterior and interior segments of the museum level, and a second section where I will go more in depth with voiceover about why I did the things I did and the design philosophies of the level, alongside some gameplay stuff and more details on environmental storytelling and atmosphere. So, without further ado, let's begin.
Negative, it's totally gone, over.
Yeah, okay, and yeah, how's my signal here? This is about 35 watts.
About almost 20 over.
Yeah, roger. Okay, well, something in the amplifier feed line. At least I've got that isolated. It's not the antenna, it's something between the amp and the rig there.
Hi there, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. The name's Gus, and today I wanted to just real quick go over my project overview of my F.U.T.U.R.E game level. So this section goes after the gameplay of both the exterior and also the interior of the level, and so we're going to go by parts. Basically, in essence, the focus of this level chunk was to tell a story through the environment, through colors, fog effects, clouds, like the atmosphere, lighting, rain, foliage, etc., etc. I'll get into it, and I'll try to be as quick as possible with all of this. So, the level starts off in a very sort of foliage area based. You can't really see much, but a shimmering red light and what seems to be a peak of a building. It's over a hill, so the player slowly, goes up through the landscape, and as they slowly approach the apex of the hill, boom, they see this. So I wanted this to be like a moment of wow, I'm gaining a lot of context right now about what's happening. So the game takes place in a present where people from the future, called the Futurists, have come to the present to take over it. Blah 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 blah, etc. Basically, the point is that everything is going to hell, and you are tasked with retrieving an exosuit that was taken from you many years ago by an arms dealer who is now proclaimed dead. And Futurists know about this man's compound, which is right here. And so they want to go here and take everything they can for themselves and sort of to claim power as they have been doing throughout their conquest of Earth. So, this moment tells you a lot. It tells you that this place is heavily fortified, that you are in danger. One of my experience goals is to make the player feel lonely, like they are in here by themselves, no support system at all. Sorry for the thunder, it's a bit rainy right now. So, sorry for that. Yeah, so, no support system, and you feel very lonely and scared, and, the whole point is you have to be very careful about this, because we're dealing with an army of maybe 30 up to 50 people here, and you're just one man. So you slowly make your way through the environment. You'll see to the left here we have the camp itself with a lot of boxes, meaning that they're ready to transport their gear and leave. Next to this are a couple of watchtowers, which next to that is an accident, a road accident. It seems like people were trying to escape the city on fire, made their way to this street, and were shot up by the militia. It's quite sad, but it's also to build upon that story of the oppression of these Futurists and what they have come to do to the present. So, this is the building itself. I separated both the interior and also the exterior for two separate levels because of scale and also rendering. I think the game right now, I have it on low settings, meaning that the graphics are not even that high. If I put the shadows even on medium, this would run at 30 FPS to 10, so I'm not gonna do that. Anyways, as you make your way through this small little bridge here that has a bunch of flipped over boats, signifying that there were people here before, and now they're not here anymore. You make your way through this small little opening between these trees until you approach this fence. So, this game is supposed to have a lot of contextual movement sections. So it's like, oh, well, this looks like I can climb over it because it's got vines on it. So it's a contextual climb. This doesn't mean that you can climb on anything. It's only for specific, pieces of the environment. So, you go over this and you arrive at this cargo dock. Now, this is where the Futurists are extracting all of their, well, not theirs to be fair, but they're extracting all of the cargo from the manor, and they are exporting it into their ships that are right here. Now, why are these their ships? Well, because they're made of metal, and I didn't have any money to buy materials. So there you go. There's 3 watchtowers here watching for danger from the open sea. There's also guards everywhere, talking to each other, having conversations, or scouting for more cargo to take to the ship. How these guys are over here. Also, one thing that I'm going to quickly just go over, there are 3 kinds of lighting in this game so far. So there's red lighting, which means danger. If you step here, you'll be caught, and the game will, people will notice you immediately and shoot you and kill you. Yellow means natural lighting, so, lighting for spotlights and point lights and just normal sort of like contextual, light sources that feel part of the world and not like some tool by a game developer. But they are, though. And then there's the sort of bluish green lighting here that is meant to be more passive lighting. It's a bit more obvious that it's being hand-fed to the player, but, I've hadn't had the time to think of more contextual ways of doing this, so that's pretty much that part all settled. So I wanted to make this part the more tense part of all, since it's very close corners, there isn't much space. One of the things that we saw in class was the danger of what's after, and not being sure about what that would be. So for this section, what I did was I added these little boxes here that will pop up whenever you turn a corner, which will provide you safety and also provide the player with the needed information to go further on. So this enemy right here, he is not like triggered, and he will not be either. I haven't had the code for that yet. And his job is to just go down this line and then come back around. And your job is to sneak around whilst he has his back turned. Eventually, you kill him, I guess, if you want to. I put some boxes here to stop the player from just wandering into here. Some contextual, just normal cargo junk, right? There are 3 guards here having a conversation. In a finished game, I was thinking that this conversation, has to do with the exosuit and the value of it and its worth. And then you make your way up through these boxes. Now, I know that these are stairs. They're supposed to be conveyor belts, so just go with it. And by the time that you get up here, you have a small little view of pretty much like everything that you've come through thus far, including the small little forest, and now a view of the 3 watchtowers with the ocean. So that, and oh yeah, and here is the vent entrance, which is pretty scaled in a pretty big size. I did it because I could not get the character, the pawn to fit into a smaller scale size. His capsule is not just meshing properly, so I just chose to make it very big. Sorry for that. But yeah, this is the overview of the project for the exterior of the manor. So thanks for watching. Now we're gonna go into the interior, which to me is the most interesting part of all and my favorite part of the level as a whole. So yeah, I'll see you then. Hey there, we're back, and now we're doing the interior of the manor. So to explain something, the character will spawn right about here. Now the thing is, he was supposed to actually come all the way from down here into this vent system that came from the vent right here that we saw earlier in the exterior version of the level. Problem being, I cannot get ladders to work. So that's not my fault. It's the fault of ladders, guys. I'm very sorry. I'll figure this out later on, though. Don't worry about it. So let's just say that the level actually does start at the top of the ladder. Cool. So what's happening here? This manor is abandoned, charred. It's been burnt and affected prior. We don't know if it was by the Futurists or another faction. All we know is that this place is in a pretty bad condition, and these guys are just pretty much looting whatever they can before the whole thing just breaks down and collapses. You push apart a metal sheet that reveals a painting, which has been broken. So this apparently used to be some kind of escape hatch, secret pathway down into the service rooms of the manor that you have now taken for the entrance instead. And so now that we're in here, I want to point out that the architecture and the style is meant to be very, Greek based and also like Roman. Now, this is in great part because I couldn't get assets of any other kind, but I think it really does fit the whole like archaeological museum gathering, uh, you know, guy that this arms dealer was, right? So yeah, the player comes out of this hole. There's some rocks here, some like debris that has fallen from the ceiling, of course. And we have some guards that are just checking around the area and perusing. Right here is the main entrance that you could see from the exterior video. Just that this entrance feels a bit smaller with a couple of guards watching, and also the fountain from the exterior is also here, but with none of the floor. Don't worry about that. Okay, so now we go back inside, and right. One thing that I wanted to do with this section was like implement more features that would make this more feature complete. I saw the spec of the project and saw that Thomas wanted us to maybe work with, sound people from the sound design career path or from the 3D animation path. And I'm a big sound guy, so I wanted to do some sound stuff. So throughout the project, I added, rain effects. I added, footsteps, very subtle footstep sounds. I added radio chatter between these guards here and in the main atrium, which we'll get into now in just a moment. The player takes these two guys out if they want. It's not really needed, but if they want to, they can go ahead and do that. Now we enter the main atrium. So again, I like doing what's considered to be, I guess, a vignette. So it's almost like a set piece. So you enter here. These guards are inspecting a headless statue of a Roman lord. We can see tumbling artifacts everywhere. Models just befuddled and messed with, toyed with. Guards are inspecting paintings, murals. They're checking for like people inside of the manor left wing and the right wing as well, which this wing has been toppled previously by a couple of pillars that were situated same as these two are. So this whole building, by the way, is very symmetrical. I'm a symmetrical person, so that's how it is. So you can see that these two pillars, though, are fine here. On the other axis, or side, sorry, they are collapsed. So it's meant to show that, it's not completely destroyed, but it's pretty much halfway through that phase. As the player walks around here, they'll hear the radio chatter of the guards, of them talking to each other. And you also see some of the debris that has fallen from the ceiling rafters of the museum manor. One of them even touches into the sky exterior of the outside world, which is kind of funny. Going up these stairs here, we reach a point where we have two contextual blockades that are actually helping us. So down here, I've implemented the first obstacle of its kind, which is a camera device that is being used by the Futurists to scout for danger, aside from just the red lighting that we saw outside earlier. These cameras are not triggered, but in a perfect world, they would move down and up, or left and right, meaning that they would scan the entire stair path. So your job is to, watch for it, go up when the light is not touching you, and then go past it when it's also not touching you. This right path here is blocked off by this pillar that broke off from the rafter of this wall. And once we stand around here, we can see the suit, and we know that this room is important. It's pretty barred off by metal bars. It's got red lights in there. That means, okay, this is something that matters that I should probably go to. But this way is blocked off, so we go this way. Once again, we can see two guards inspecting the environment, searching for loot to take with them. And the player makes their way, not this way, because this way is also blocked off. So we go down through here. Another small vignette of a fallen mural similar to these ones, with a small gap in the ceiling, which is kind of hard to see, but rain is actually falling through the ceiling here, but it's so thin that you can barely tell, so sorry for that. Now, once you go behind this piece of cover here that I've situated similar to the cargo bay, boxes. This guard will actually move down from here all the way to about here. So your job is to just, follow behind him and kill him before he turns back around and shoots you in the head, since you're just a guy with a knife. And this guy has a futuristic Halo combat rifle. So, once again, I put a lot of detail into the environment and how, just run down it all looks. For example, it's logical that if this pillar rafter has snapped off, that the second end is also torn into the ground, right? So things like that I paid a lot of attention to with this level. Same with the lighting, by the way, how it's kind of foggy, inside of the building, with some of the, lighting making up for that just foggy look. Now, we go past here, we have a couple of more rocks, or not rocks, sorry, but pillars that, support artifacts that are met by another green camera that will pan all the way from here to about there. So your job, similar to this one, is to just, dodge those green lights, because if that camera spots you, everyone's gonna come to you and you are done for. Also, once again, I'm sorry for the rain and the thunder. It's getting a bit louder now. It's kind of scary. Just bear with me. We're almost done. Right, so once you get through here, you'll have to crouch under this pillar to get through it. And once you do that, you are met by this keycard reader. Now, I should have explained earlier, but this guard that's right here will actually spawn all the way down about here. And once you enter this room, he'll start to move upstairs. So his path will end in this room, which once you enter it will make him trigger to go down to here, where you can kill him. He is the only green guard of the entire level, meaning that he's a higher rank than the red ones. AKA, he has a key card that you need to access this weapons room. So, you kill him, you take his card, and you scan it on the reader right here. Now, these bars are not triggered to open, but in a perfect world, they would. And you can see that this room has been kind of looted. This is obviously the most, secured room in the entire venue, pretty clearly. And right here, you have the suit that you came to look for, your exosuit. So you can also tell that it is barred off, then you can't just grab it like how you would. It's not too easy, right? One thing that we talked about in class was not making things too easy for the player, having some challenge. Here is where my gameplay mechanic comes in. So here is sort to be like a computer, pretty big one at that seems to be from the 1980s even. And it's got a screen, a docking bay, and a couple of buttons. So it kind of looks like a big Game Boy, basically. My gameplay mechanic was that you could have a drone device that would shift the game into first-person perspective, and you would have to go through a maze-like set piece of obstacles featuring, fiery smoke, fire, lightning sparks, and like laser beams and more contraptions like that. Now, sadly, due to time and effort, or having to put effort into other things, I haven't had the time to develop this mechanic. I'm very sorry. But you basically clear the section with this drum device. I'll put some info about how this was going to look in my documentation for the project so that you have an idea of how this was supposed to operate. Basically, what you're doing here is reactivating power to this machine. It's lost power. These red lights mean that this facility is inside of the, or not inside, sorry, but it's undergoing the emergency power subroutine. So your job is to just, throw your drone in there, control it, and have it activate the power through its own battery rod system. That also would have been cool to add, but sadly I cannot do that anymore. And once you activate this power, all of these bars come off, and meaning that you can take your exosuit. Now, once you do that, at the same time, a rumble will happen in this level, and this wall will come off, this wall plank right here, showing that there's actually a secret exit to the facility. The player will then make their way through here, through this hallway of red lights, and that's it. You know, we see the rain pouring as it is in the real world right now. That is not in the game, I promise. And it's a pretty big drop, but this is a boat that was actually placed here by the main character's agency, who basically sent him here with nothing, but they sent him a way out. It's kind of inspired by the Hitman games, how those games provide the Hitman player with a contextual escape route that could either be provided by the agency or by himself. It's that kind of thing. So the player jumps from this room path down into the boat, and pretty much here, the game's over. That's pretty much the entire level. Now, here's the blockout. It was kind of funny. This looks like a tank. It looks like an alien spaceship. I think it's really funny. I told you that I made this on an entirely different level. This is why. Also, I have to say, I used the cube grid feature the entire time for this whole thing. If it wasn't for cube grid, I don't know how any of this would have been possible. Not only did I use cube grid, and once I had completed the blockout, as intended for my papers and my drawings and stuff, I clicked this button that is called subdivision, which subdivides the polygon count, meaning that instead of getting these, convex, corners and edges, you get jagged ones instead and more roundish. That's why this whole thing looks so... It's almost alien in how it looks, right? It's almost like sand too, how like the ground kind of goes up and like bends through the walls into the ground. So that was all done on purpose. And yeah, great part of the game interior comes from the cube grid feature, so shout out cube grid. Anyways, that's pretty much my game. I hope that you like this video. I'm sorry that I couldn't delve more into gameplay mechanics. This is more of a level showcase of storytelling, of sound, of tonality, of textures, placement, things like that. I hope that you like this, and I'm gonna sign off. So I'm Gus. Once again, thank you for listening to me rant or banter for 22 minutes and 34 seconds now. And I hope that you have a good night, afternoon, or morning. So yeah, thank you very much, and goodbye. Bye-bye.